戦が始まる。蘇る熱きヒーローたち。超リアルな造形で完全再現。バンダイウルトラ怪獣シリーズ新登場。
The mightiest monsters of all time, King Kong, Mammoth, Unconquerable versus Godzilla, released from an icy tomb to pulverize a panic-stricken world. King Kong, Godzilla, together on a rampage of destruction, fire-breathing. Colossal Godzilla, impervious to man's most fiery weapons. Nothing you have ever seen, nothing you have ever felt could prepare you for this colossus of entertainment. Spectacular, unbelievable, the world's mightiest monsters in the battle of the century. Mighty King Kong, immune even to 1 billion volts of electricity. Godzilla, immune to man's most fiery weapons.
Godzilla has a brain about this size. He is sheer brute force. While Kong is a thinking animal. His brain is considerably larger. About 10 times the size of this gorilla's skull.
King Kong, the unconquerable. Godzilla, the indestructible. King Kong versus Godzilla.
Seems like we're live now. We're live. Live on Collectibles Monster. Thank y'all so much for being here. Oh my God, as you can see, I'm Leslie P. Chambers. I'm back home. I got my babies. Back with me. Oh, it feels so good to be in North Carolina, not the pothole-infested Chicago. Nothing against Chicago. I love Chicago, but my God, it's for a month being cramped in a hotel room, the potholes, the crazy drivers, the low bridges. Oh God, it feels good to be back amongst Godzilla, amongst Mothra, Kong, King Ghidorah, Anguillus, and Potion Boy. Shut up. It feels good to be back here. Oh my God. And today we have a special show. We have a special show for you today because there's a certain Godzilla that's celebrating a milestone birthday in a few days. In just a few days. Yes, the iconic King Goji, 1962 Godzilla from King Kong versus Godzilla himself. Kong in the movie celebrates 60 years on August 11th. Can you believe that? 60 years this film has been around. A film that made a lot of us Godzilla fans, or at least cemented us being Godzilla fans. We owe a lot to this movie. So many people love this movie. So many people grew up with this movie. So in this discussion, we're going to talk about some of our favorite collectibles from this movie. Of course, Godzilla is the focus, but the monster he fought may come up in the discussion as well. More on that later. But I'm not here alone. I have not one, not two, but three awesome model kit extraordinaires. I'm so glad these people are here. I'm so glad they're my best friends because when I get a kit, they are the first ones I call, every single one of them. So let's start off with the main man up in Sin City, Las Vegas, the one and the only model kit extraordinaire, one the brainchild behind Roto Kaiju, the one and the only Steve Ceragioli. How you doing, Steve?
Always good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Steve. Nice. It's wonderful to see you all today.
Ditto.
My favorite Godzilla, the 62, is the best Godzilla. Just saying.
See,
See?
already started. He already went there. Right off the block.
Okay. I'm going to be good here because this is not just my channel, so I can't do what normal Leslie normally does in a comment like that. so you're lucky, Steve. I'm being a good boy.
Good shot right now.
Yeah. But thank you for being here, Steve. I really do appreciate it. And my main man, I had the awesome privilege of meeting for the first time at G-Fest a couple weeks ago, and who also took first place in the model kit room for his epic gargantuan diorama.
This guy.
You know him, you love him. Yes, he is making his stamp on model kits as of late. He's a super collector, a passionate fan. You know him, you love him on Facebook. The one and the only Marcellus Winters. How you doing, Marcellus?
What's up, man? I'm enjoying it, man. I'm excited being here, dude. I appreciate y'all having me. Let's get it on. 62, top. All right, Steve.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. We'll definitely talk about it because the chat is already on fire with that. My wife's in the chat.
Oh, I
She
can
said
imagine.
She says GMK, so she said nope.
Look at that GMK.
We'll see in
You're
6
right,
years.
Sandra.
We're still talking about GMK.
All right, and last but certainly but not least, you know this guy. You love him. You see him pretty much every single month on Collect All Monsters. He's my fellow co-host up there in Seattle, Washington. Excuse me. He is also a model kit extraordinaire and an awesome kaiju tour photographer. The one and the only David Eric Dopko. What's going on, David?
What's up, guys? I'm so stoked to be here with you guys. Marcellus taking first prize at G-Fest. I knew that was going to happen. I told you. And Steve has been an inspiration of mine for I can't tell you how long, for tips on model building, et cetera, et cetera.
Likewise.
So I am just so honored and stoked to be here. And I got to say, I'm kind of in the middle, although you all know that the 64 is my quintessential Showa Godzilla. The 62 is right behind him for me. Like, I really love the 62, and why I love him and why Steve loves him and why we all love him, I'm sure we will get into. So I'm not going to spoil that part right now. So yes, stoked to be here.
And of course, again, Leslie P. Chambers, you know me, the problem child to collect all monsters. That's what I am. At least I'm self-aware. I mean, hey, y'all know me. I do what I do. But before we go into what we're going to do right now, let me give a huge shout out to the chat, the people in the chat. We got 23 people watching right now.
Nice.
Apparently, they love the King Goji as much as we do. So thank you so much to Godzilla Train 1090, Adrian, Joey Chapman, Rylan X Godzilla Singular Point. Okay, I like that. Helmy! What's up, Helmy?
What's up, Helmy?
All right.
Helmy.
Of course, Bad Goji, Greg Coggin. Of course, my better half, Sandra, who's downstairs right now. Jessica H, David Robertson. Let's see who else. Tamiko Richardson.
Miko!
And Eric Stoke from Monster with Attitude. Yes.
What's up, Eric?
So, got a few people. So we got a few people in here tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, because it's still midday where we are, and it's kind of more so drifting to the afternoon where Steve and David are right now. But again, we're talking about King Kong versus Godzilla, at least the King Goji or the collectibles pertaining to King Kong versus Godzilla. Again, I can't believe this movie celebrates 60 years. So before we get into the collectibles, let's talk about a few things about the film. We ain't got to go super long with the questions we're going to ask here. I mean, we can with a couple questions. I'll let you know when. But super fast, let me ask you a few questions about this. Okay, we're going this order, Steve, Marcellus, David, and I'll follow up on the rear. Okay, when was the first time you watched King Kong versus Godzilla?
Wow.
Steve, the floor is yours.
I had to be probably no older than 5. I was not born in 62. Thank you very much, David, before you mentioned it.
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm older than you are.
Not by much. Not by much.
Well, we're pretty close.
Real close. So good old Bob Wilkins, Creature Features in the 70s.
Yes.
In the Bay Area. So I watched it early and often. And frankly, David and I were talking right before the show, King Kong versus Godzilla was on so frequently. And, I know this can be hard for a lot of our viewers to understand. We didn't have streaming. We did not have the internet. We did not have VCRs. So
we had nothing but a tape recorder.
Yeah.
You tuned in.
Tape recorders.
Right? You tuned in with the antennas and watched and ran to the bathroom during commercials. So the 54 original Godzilla King of the Monsters was not on nearly as much. And don't throw anything at the screen. To this day, I've never seen Godzilla Raids Again, Gigantus the Fire Monster. I've never seen Godzilla versus Angulus.
Oh.
I've only seen scenes from it. I've never actually seen it. So King Kong versus Godzilla was my introduction to Godzilla, frankly. And I was such a Kong fan growing up from the 33 Kong that as a 5-year-old, I was in. I was instantly hooked, and that was it. So
outstanding.
Yeah.
Marcellus, you're up next.
Man.
Hey, we got a special guest coming in.
Yeah.
Ooh, excellent.
Down at the bottom there.
Yeah, we got a special guest coming in.
Yes.
Yo, I remember mine clearly, man. It was they had a show back here in Ohio called Big Chuck and Houlihan, and I was about.
What?
It was called Big Chuck and Houlihan, and then when Houlihan passed, they called it Big Chuck and Little John show. It would come on after the 11 o'clock news, and I had to be about 7 or 8. It would come on about 12 o'clock. Man, you see the show, the whole intro, and they would play King Kong versus Godzilla, Kong versus Godzilla, and they would do all of these funny skits through every commercial. So instead of the movie being an hour and 30 minutes long, you would have to sit there for almost 2.5 hours because they got skits on every commercial. But I had to be about 6, 7 years old. It was Big Chuck and Houlihan. And then the next time I saw it after that, it was a show called Super Host that they used to show the old Godzilla movies. Only way you can see it here, you have to take the antennas on the TV.
Yep.
You have to hold them, and then you have to turn the channel and hold that channel just right so you get that thing clear day. And then Steve, I've never really watched the whole Godzilla versus Anguillus 2, that very first one. I never really watched it either. I only just seen clips and parts of it too, because I always watched the original, so I've never really watched that one either. But yeah, mine was Big Chuck and Houlihan. I was about 7 years old.
That's awesome.
What about you, Dave?
Awesome. Let's see. So I must have been about 5 or 6 when I saw King Kong versus Godzilla. I think it was the second or third time I saw Godzilla on the big screen, or on the small screen in my house anyway. The first one, of course, as we all know, is Monster Zero, and that's where I really got hooked on the whole thing. But Channel 9, WOR, New York channel, those of you who live in the East Coast would totally remember this. Every Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving Day, they would show King Kong, Son of Kong, and Mighty Joe Young. Yeah. And then the next day on Friday, they'd show Godzilla movies. So it'd be King Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, or I can't remember what the third one was. But every year it was there. They called it the Holiday Film Festival, WOR New York, and that's where every Thanksgiving, like, the ladies are in there making Thanksgiving dinner. The dudes are upstairs watching football, and I'm downstairs watching Godzilla movies and King Kong movies. So that is the story of my growing up there. But yeah, it was like the second or third Godzilla movie that I saw, and as Steve said, they played it so much in, like, they had it on Channel 48, Channel 17, Channel 11, but WOR was the main station. And I just instantly fell in love with it. I was always mad that Godzilla sort of, in the spin of the US version, kind of didn't win, and everybody was rooting for Kong except for me. To this day, when we do flip the coin, I always pick tails for Godzilla. Like Mr. Taco picked heads for Kong, tails. So tails for Godzilla.
You can hear me?
So
hi, guys.
I still.
Yes.
Hola, hola. Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh yeah, that's great. Sorry, I'm late here, but I hope you understand me. You know, I'm not 100% English fluent, so sometimes it's a little hard to me speak in English. I try to understand. I think I understand a lot of you are saying, but sometimes some things you are saying is escape from my understanding.
You're doing just fine,
okay.
Beto.
You're doing fine. We can understand you perfectly, so that's good.
Honestly, it's amazing talk with all of you. I know most of you from a long time. Marcellus is the first time I have a direct contact.
Yes, sir.
He bought a bunch of model kits last week, and
yes, sir.
Hope you receive this one. Hi, Leslie. How are you, David? An honor to talk with you.
What's up, Beto?
Of your work, and well, there is my big friend Steve.
And for those who don't know,
with you,
Beto is the mastermind, the genius, and the brainchild behind Roto Kaiju, and you can see some of his sculptures on right in front of Leslie and right behind Marcellus. And I know,
and how about right here?
Oh, nice.
Right here. Yes, David's got his. I love David's. There it is.
I'm sorry.
Throw them Kongs up. Throw them Kongs up. There you go.
Put your Kongs up.
Throw them Kongs.
Some
Betos. Go some Betos.
This model kit made me so happy when it came out, because I wanted, like, I'm going to use it again, the quintessential version of the Toho Kong. And I don't think you're ever going to get better than this. I
Oh
mean,
man, thank you.
it's amazing, and
Thank you,
it's
thank
not easy to do because there's a lot of little nuances that Kong, has, the Toho Kong has. But I'll tell you what, you nailed it. I give it 10 out of
Thank you.
10.
Thank you.
10 out of 10.
For
Yeah.
me, honestly, for me, it's a dream come true. Have a decent model kit from this King Kong. The only reference and the only thing I ever have was the old Billiken, but
Yep.
never was very happy with the general look of the scale. And well, this is amazing for me. It's something from when I was more young. I tried to collect Godzilla, but was very hard to do because I'm living in Mexico. In the past, in the 19th, it was relatively easy to buy here because it was easy to find in some model kits stores, but was very expensive and scarce. So I start doing my own custom figures or clay sculptures to compensate this missing in my collection and have the possibility to produce one in vinyl like the model I was always wanted is a dream come true, and I'm happy you guys are enjoying.
Well,
And
you
I
nailed it.
promise try to
Yeah.
do more.
You nailed it.
Kits. Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, David.
And the
everyone thinks that your Kong is the quintessential Kong.
it really is.
Maybe one day we try and do another one. Maybe
Yes.
Hey, we talked about that last night.
Yes. I talked with Marcellus.
Yep. We talked about it last night.
Nice.
Well, I'll tell you what. I do model kits for people on a small scale, not like Steve does. I do it for fellow collectors and friends. I don't think I built a single kit more than the Roto Kaiju Kong version 1 and version 2. I think my total is 9 or 10. I built 9 or 10 of those kits.
Wow.
Wow.
And I'm telling you right now, I get better with each one. So maybe I'll just do another one and keep that one too. But I want to show you this one real quick while we're talking about it. This is the one that Steve did for me.
Yeah.
The early pull of the version 1.
Yes.
And it looks like a marmot figure, like a Sofubi figure. And that's what kind of Steve, modeled it after. It's kind of glow in the dark. It's got the sort of fun, like marmoty colors and stuff like that. But I love it. It fits in the collection nicely, and it glows in the dark. And it's just great. It's just great. I can't tell you how much I like it.
It's the electric version, right?
It is the electric version.
Hey, we got to talk about a different scale, maybe something bigger.
Oh
hey,
my
Steve,
gosh.
that's what we were talking about last night. We were saying he was talking about doing a gigantic one without the rock.
Yes.
Wow.
Honestly, I talk Steven and I talk about make a giant scale Mecha Kong and King Kong also.
Mechanic Kong? Did you
yes.
say a giant Mechanic Kong?
Yes, it's something I want to do.
Bro.
Yes.
Well, I think you need to do a Gorosaurus too.
Ado dropping
I mean, how about a Roto Kaiju Gorosaurus? How cool would that be?
I have some concerns about this. Honestly, my idea is make Godzilla and King Kong, but not in a scale of X plus, a little bigger. I prefer the scale of the new King Kong, the 67 is the 35.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good scale. 35 centimeters is a really good scale for you can get a lot of detail on that scale.
Yes. Plus, it's more easy to produce and I need more. I have less problems to produce this because this is because this is produces here in Mexico, there is a lot of limitation. It's not the same kind of molds from Japan or China, and it's not the same material. So I have a lot of limitation who I need to solve. But the bigger scale helped me a lot to solve these problems.
That was one of the real reasons that the Mechanicon started, growing in size was because, frankly,
that's true.
For those of you who own the Mechanicon, with the and with the grenades and things like that, the smaller
Right.
you get, it becomes impossible with the technology.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Murder-
So what Beto is saying is we all need to stock up on our red-brown paints, okay?
Yes.
Right.
So go to your
Right.
local hobby shop and stock
Yes.
up on your red
Yes.
red-brown paints, because you need a lot of that for that
Yeah.
fur, for that mangy
I have to
fur.
say,
You got to paint that mangy fur.
One,
I have
one
to
of
say, that my first exposure to King Kong versus Godzilla, I'll be brief, was I was young, just like y'all, way back in the day. Now, mind you, it was like maybe the third or fourth Godzilla movie I saw. Now, mind you, I saw 1985 Godzilla as well as the King Kong 76 movie first. Then I
Oh,
saw King Kong, yes. Then I saw
Yeah.
King Kong versus Godzilla after this. Now, when you look at the 76 version of Kong and the 85 or 84 version of Godzilla, there were more updated, darker interpretations of King Kong and Godzilla. And so when I found out that they were in a movie together, and I went back and I saw King Kong versus Godzilla, and I saw the design of both Kong and Godzilla, I have to admit, I was like, wait a minute, that cannot be King Kong and that cannot be Godzilla. It took me a while to wrap my head around the fact that that was actually King Kong and Godzilla. I mean, because at the time as a kid, I did not know that these films were made in a certain order, because I saw my Godzillas in random order. You know
me
what I mean?
too. Yep, we all
So-
did. Yep.
So when I saw King Kong versus Godzilla for a while, I wasn't really a big fan of the design, especially Kong. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought somebody actually took the costume and ran over with a pickup truck. I'm being honest, but over time, I've grown to appreciate King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
I love the movie so much,
Mm.
but it wasn't until Beto and Steve came
Yeah.
forth with these versions of Kong and say, you know what? Because in my opinion, this is no exaggeration what David said. This is the quintessential
It is,
Kong
honestly,
from
it
that
is.
movie. It really is. And the fact they came
Across
out
the board.
with,
Across the board.
Oh, thank you.
and the fact they came out with multiple versions of it, I was like, wow. At the time, I wasn't really well versed on how to get my kids live. You know, me and Steve were cool, but I know that he's in high demand. These kids were in high demand. So I got mine kind of way after the fact. But after me seeing that, Beto and Steve, your work on this Kong made me a fan of this version of Kong.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
want
really?
more.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
Leslie,
Yeah.
to your point, growing up, I never thought, because I'm a massive Kong fan, okay? I saw the 76 Kong in the theater. I love the 33 Kong to this day. I never thought that Kong in King Kong versus Godzilla in 62 was supposed to be the same Kong, because he's like 4 times taller.
You saw it as a different creature?
Yeah.
Because Kong is 40 feet tall. And how tall is Godzilla?
Yeah.
300 feet?
300.
400 and change.
400 and change? So
It
Kong is
depends
right
which one you're talking about, but
there, right?
yeah.
Kong is right there with him. He dwarfs the 33 and 76 Kongs, you know, the American Kongs.
That's true.
So to me, I always viewed him as a different animal.
Interesting. Now, on that point, Steve, I wanted to finish up about my origin of this film.
Yes.
I never saw the first Kong I ever saw on screen was the Toho Kong. I did not see the third, because I was like 5 or 6. I did not see the 1933 Willis O'Brien Kong. I did not see the 76 movie until 76, and I saw that in the movies too. On my birthday, actually, it was really cool. But that was my first impression of King Kong on screen. And so it kind of went uphill from there, if you know what I mean, because
Right.
it's like, Tsuburaya put all of his effort into the gorgeous miniatures, right? Gorgeous, amazing miniatures. The Godzilla suit is second to, I'm not going to say second to none. I'm going to say second to one. No pun intended. But they did not put a lot of stock into that Kong suit. I guess it felt like an afterthought to me, because it was just so shoddy. And Keith, he can't stand that Kong. He cannot stand Toho Kong. He's like, get that thing out of here. I don't want to see it. I hate that movie. I won't watch it.
If I'm correct, to save on the budget, that was the repurposed suit from Half Human.
I would not doubt it. I would not doubt it at all.
Yeah, there's
And
a lot of shots too of the Kong with the pointy ears.
I would not doubt it. And they also reused that suit again in Ultra Q for Goro, the episode Goro and Goro, the giant, the giant macaque from Ultra Q. So the suit, it is as shoddy and messed up that it is, it's endearing. I love it. I absolutely love it because it is, like I said, my very first impression of King Kong on screen.
It's funny. I'm kind of with Leslie. I wasn't a great fan until I got Beto's the kit. Once I got that, it was just like it was a whole different mindset on it. I was the same way. I was kind of like,
yeah.
And once I got the figure, man, when he made that, I became a fan of it. Like just because of what he created on that figure, man. That kit.
It's amazing.
Because you have to understand, like you have to understand. For me, you know, jumping around with the movies and design, you know, I could understand, you know, when I saw 85 and I jumped back to maybe 62 or Monster Zero. I mean, I kind of understood that, you know, things were different back then versus the 84 film. You know, there was jumps in technology, suit making wise or whatever. It was just the Kong suit that really threw me a loop. I know it's a different version of Kong.
Terrible.
I know it's a different animal, or you know, he's not like the other Kongs, but still, the suit really took me aback a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But again, it took Beto coming out with this perfect version of King Kong. I was like, you know what? Maybe the Kong suit is not that bad. And it's kind of ironic when you think about it that, you know, it's super rare really want to make a King Kong film, but it's unfortunate. This is the best that he came up with. And ironically, Kong is the star of the movie. He's the one that gets top billing, but yet he's the one that's kind of like a shoddy afterthought. No different than King Kong Escapes. No different than King Kong. No different than King Kong Escapes. A lot of people think Mechanic Kong and Gorosaurus are the better looking monsters of that film versus Kong himself. So it's kind of ironic that way.
Leslie,
You know something, Leslie. There is something I really miss from when I see this movie. I don't remember the age. Maybe I have 10 years, 9 years. I can't remember, but this was the first kaiju movie I see in my life. And honestly, when I see this movie in my school theater in the Saturdays, they make some kind of I don't know. In the morning, they project some movies for the students. I really was impressed. Honestly, when I was a children, when I was a little boy, I don't feel this to look crappy or fake. I really, really.
Yeah,
I was amazed. I can't believe the giant gorilla and the giant Godzilla. It was real for me. I don't. It not look like a cheap costume.
That's what I'm trying to say. You know, Leslie, to the eyes of the 5-year-old, when I first saw it, it was real. Like I didn't realize that suit at all.
Yes, I never noticed this until I was a teenager or an adult. I start to look to the cheap design, to the seams of the costume. You can see in some scenes, you can see the eyes of the actor inside the goggles of the mask. It looks amazing. I love this crappy cheap costume look. I really love it.
I love it too. And even as a child, I knew that Godzilla was like, I believed Godzilla because that suit is amazing. Yes. But I always knew because the scale of Kong's arms kept changing, which you showed in your model kit, which is awesome. And the scale of like, he's holding Fumiko and she's big, and then Godzilla's this big. It's like something doesn't work. Even my childish mind could figure out that something was not right about this whole picture, but I loved it anyway.
Right.
And now, like Beto said, as an adult watching this, the nostalgia is so strong. I don't care what the suit looks like.
Yeah.
I love
absolutely.
Yeah. I love representations of the suit. I love the suit. And real quick, I want to talk really quick about what this movie was supposed to be. Willis O'Brien, who made the original King Kong, wanted to do something else with the character. Yep. So what he proposed was King Kong versus Frankenstein.
Yep.
Now, it's not
Yes.
Frankenstein from Germany. What
No,
happened is a scientist was in Africa and took parts of giant animals like gorillas, elephants, rhinos, sewed together this monster to fight King Kong. And they did not want to buy that idea at all. No one was really interested in it. And then it sort of got into the hands at some point after being shipped around of John Beck. Wasn't it John Beck?
Yeah.
Who produced it ultimately. And he sold it to Toho to be a vehicle for Godzilla's return to the big screen for Toho's 35th anniversary. So that's why we got King Kong versus Godzilla, because they were the only ones interested in doing something with the character at that time. But imagine if it would have been like a stop motion King Kong versus some African creature. That would have been really cool,
Right.
too. But excuse me. I know a lot of people who saw the 33 Kong first were really disappointed that instead of stop motion animation, it was a man in a suit. And I think that stigma stayed with man in the suit for many, many years because they were basing it on something completely different. And there is such nuance and such craft to tokusatsu, as we all know over the years, that now we can appreciate it as its own thing. But it's just interesting how the origins of these things came about. And I love that part of learning about movies. And again, all this stuff around here begins and ends with the films, my love for the films and your love for the films. If we didn't have the films, we didn't love the films, we wouldn't be buying all this stuff. Well, I certainly wouldn't anyway.
Absolutely. But
Agreed.
I got to go back to what Beto said, and you heard it here first, folks, on Collect All Monsters. We don't know when it's coming out, but he has ideas, he has visions, he has grand plans.
Yeah.
He did say it's recorded, it's on YouTube, and I will bring it up if I have to. He did say that he wants to make a gigantic Mechanic Kong. Is that true? Is that what you said?
This is a fact. I try to do it. If there is enough interest, I can produce it, and I do my best. If it's not possible to do in gigantic scale, maybe I can do a different version. I want to do a version more dynamic, with more poses, and maybe a little sculpture of Dr. Wu.
Oh yeah, Doctor Who. I would love Doctor Who. Oh my God.
I can't confirm or deny that I've already seen a sculpt of this.
There is another thing interesting. If I do a gigantic scale Mecha Kong or King Kong, in this scale, it's very possible to do the human characters in scales because the 67 are not are not as bigger at the 63. The 62, sorry.
All right, Beto, I have a request. I'm going to say it in front of everybody.
Tell me, David.
Okay. What I would love to see in 35 centimeter scale, which is, we all talked about, that's the sweet spot for you to make kits. I want you to redo the tree sandwich kit in your style. The famous kit, it's by Paradise, Inoue Arts. The tree sandwich is probably the model in the modeling world. That is the favorite King Kong versus Godzilla kit of all time.
We talk about it all the time.
If you could do that, reproduce that in your style with a Godzilla with the tree sandwich, you know what I'm talking about. Yes. I would be happier than a pig in you know what. Yes. Godzilla would like it too.
You know what is the only problem? We already talked, Steve and I, about this. I want to produce a Godzilla, but I think the better way to do it is under license. I need the copyrights.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Honestly, I can do it.
I'm just dreaming. I'm just dreaming out loud. Okay. No, and I know every modeler that I know. Every single modeler would buy it. I promise
to you, if I can produce a licensed Godzilla, it's correct, the license. If we can obtain the license to produce a 62 Godzilla, I promise I do the veggies. Eat your veggies.
Eat your veggies. Eat your veggies. Yeah. You know what?
But you know what?
I've been after that kit for so long, and I
both.
still haven't found it. And I don't want a bootleg. I want the original kit. And
Yes.
there are thousands of dollars for that kit.
Okay.
And Robert Trock, who you know, Marcellus, he
Mhm.
has that kit, and he did a brilliant
Killed it.
rendition of that kit. He killed
Yeah.
it. But
It
I
was
would,
amazing.
as a modeler, that's my salivary glands. That's what I want to build. I want to
Okay.
build that. And I
Yeah.
never liked the big swing because Godzilla was being swung around. I never liked that one. So there you go.
It's nice. I like it. It's
No,
nice.
no.
Well,
Kong has the upper hand.
Right
Nope.
there. Right there.
Nope.
You know,
But Beto, I have to say this. I want to say thank you. I know I thanked you a few times before privately. I know I thanked you ad nauseum on Facebook, you and Steve. But again, what you have done here with these Kongs, like y'all have given us this treasure in particular, something that we thought, at least I thought, I would never get a chance to get, because like what David said, there's the Bandai King Kong out there.
Yep.
There's a few of the Kongs out there.
Well, here he
But
is.
again,
Look, there you
right.
go.
Right, but there's nothing that is realistic and so accurate and compare well with other King Gojis in our collections than this guy right here.
You're right.
But the fact that you saw a need for that in our community and in our fandom, and you say, you know what, I'm going to do something about it, even if it is on such a small scale. I do know that you have made myself, Marcellus, David, Steve, everybody that has purchased this product and will continue to purchase products from you and what you have done. I want to say on the bottom of my heart and on behalf of everybody else, we thank you so much, and you will always have our support, no matter what.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Amen to
thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
to
you.
that.
And believe me, your interest in my work, in this project, in the work Steve and I are doing. Thank you to you guys for all the support you give us and the patience, because it was very, very hard to produce. You know, the COVID and all the things that's happened last years.
The world is
It was
crazy right
very,
now.
very
The
hard.
world is crazy right
And
now.
honestly, it was a very, very hard battle, but the kids are ready, and anyone can do it. It's for all. Thank you, guys.
And not just us,
Thank
and
you.
not just us, Beto. People in Japan, collectors and modelers in Japan are buying your stuff too. So that tells you something
Yeah.
right there. Okay.
You know,
Yes.
Leslie, it's funny, true story. I first met Beto as a customer when he made his original 67 kit. If you're
Oh,
familiar with
yes.
67, and I started messaging Beto, going, "Hey, man, you got to do a 62. Like that's the kit to do. Like everyone's let's do a 62." And we talked about it for months and months. It was a long time. And then one day, Beto sends me a picture of the clay head sculpted of the 62. And I'm like, that's it. That's it. You're onto something, right? That is it. And he and I went back and forth with pictures and,
Yep.
and
The teeth.
references.
Remember the teeth. We have to capture the look of the teeth of the
Yeah.
of the Kong, because it was hard to do.
We
It's
were
not very
arguing
visible.
over the ears, because sometimes
Yes,
it's pointy
the
ears,
ears.
you can't see ears. We went back and forth, and that's really how Beto and I met.
It's so hard to get every single nuance correct, because the Kong has the scale of the hands, the breastplate
Yeah.
thing, the feet, the hands, and of course the face is to me the most important. But I'll tell you what, like when Steve first showed me the image of that kit, I was like, oh my God, sign me up. I want it now.
Remember that
When
day?
is it ready?
And
I love the eyes.
I didn't
Oh, I
even
love-
realize.
Love
that-
the eyes. Now,
Yeah, I love the
now
way
the
he did the
eyes.
eyes.
Here's a modeling thing. I have to give Steve a little
Yeah.
credit.
He
I was
built them
painting.
eyes.
I was painting pupils on the eyes, and it
Yeah.
just didn't look right. And Steve's like,
Yeah.
Dave, why don't you do like it is in some of the scenes? Do like that milky white sort of opaque
Yeah.
look. And I did that, and that was it. Boom, done. And
Every
and that
scene
that
is
was
like
what I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only the puppet had eyes, but
Only the puppet had eyes.
the
That's
puppet
right.
had
Yeah.
eyes.
I love the way he did those eyes.
Yep.
Yeah, only the puppet had eyes. Beto,
But I learned. See, I learned. I didn't know that. And Steve told me, and the next thing you know, I'm like, Eureka! You know.
But I think that's why I love working with Beto so much. Is he and I we're both so passionate about this character and these movies, we'll argue back and forth, and he'll show me images. Mechanicon, I learned so much about Mechanicon from Beto. He had the Blu-ray and high definition images and pictures of the suit I hadn't seen. And, that's the thing about Kong is this is really accurate. And you're going to laugh at me. This is also really accurate. And they look nothing alike because there were at least 3 different suits in that film.
Correct.
Yeah.
We've seen multiple, and they're all very different.
3 different suits and even more heads.
And multiple heads.
Multiple heads.
Things.
They had the water head and the land head. The water head was terrible.
Yes.
It's true. So, they're all correct. But when Beto, and this, I don't want to speak for Beto, but what the challenge, he faces is when you sit down to make one sculpture, how do you capture what everyone has in their head? Right?
Yeah.
It's sort of an amalgamation and a perception of what we saw. But I think that speaks to his brilliance and his talent.
Thank you.
That he's able to capture that.
But again, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Want to give a shout out to people. Want to give a huge shout out to a few people that have joined the chat. Thank you so much. Liam Foley's in there. John Parkinson, Greg Betters. What's up, Greg?
What's up, everybody?
Really do appreciate it. Let me fire off some more rapid fire questions. And Beto, you're more than welcome to answer these questions too.
Hey, Greg.
Right. Greg, we go in this, and again, we won't go in this order. Steve, Marcellus, David, then Beto. You can answer. Then I'll follow you, Beto. Okay, we can do rapid fire with this, so we can get to the more nitty gritty questions. Okay, where does this film rank in your top 10 of favorite Godzilla films, or does it rank at all? Steve, where does it rank?
For Showa films, it is number.
No, overall.
Well, I'm a Showa guy, so I guess it doesn't really apply. Overall, I am going to say number 3.
Oh.
And it's a tough fight, but I'm going to say number 3 behind Destroy All Monsters and number 1, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster.
Interesting.
Marcellus, you up next. Where's it rank?
It's like about 5. Because Mecha Godzilla, man. I hit them first 2. And then you already know, Leslie. Mecha Godzilla the first 2. And then Invasion of Monster Zero is second. And then I like Destroy All Monsters. And then Kong versus Godzilla. I'm just Showa right off the rip.
How about you, David?
Top 5, baby. Mothra versus Godzilla, Monster Zero, King Kong versus Godzilla, and the rest kind of fluctuate, but top 5, definitely top 5.
Nice.
No.
Top 5.
How about you, Beto?
Strong with this one.
How about you, Beto? Where does it rank in your top 10 of favorite Godzilla films? It's not top 5.
My top 5. I think the original, the Godzilla.
Oh yeah, that's
is the number 1.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's the number 1. There is not another like this one.
In a class by itself.
Yes. Then is I think is Mothra versus Godzilla.
Good
and
man.
Then is King Kong versus Godzilla. Then
sounds good to me.
Yes, and then I think is Ghidorah. The next one is Ghidorah and Destroy All Monsters. Also, I think this is my favorite. The love for Destroy All Monsters is making me happy here. I love it. It doesn't happen very often, and I'm taking it in. Sorry, Leslie, I'm taking it in.
And this is where the show kind of goes downhill a little bit.
There you go. You already know.
You already know.
And I was so praying that somebody would say, yeah, King Kong versus Godzilla is like, it's in my top 10, but it's like the lower half, so I could feel a whole lot better.
Really?
King Kong versus Godzilla is in my top 10, and I said it many times before, it is at number 10. It is right at the bottom.
Oh, it's right on the cusp.
It's right on the cusp, but at the same time, there are times I want to put Terror Mechagodzilla in there, but I grew up with King Kong versus Godzilla, so that's why I can't. For those reasons alone, that movie alone made me more of a fan. It made me say, you know what? Because Megalon was my door, but King Kong versus Godzilla was at the point to say, you know what? I love this, and I ain't never turning back. So that alone is why it's number 10. All right. Next question. And we go around the room on this one. We could do 2 rounds of this. Okay. whether it involves Godzilla, whether it involves King Kong or Mr. Taco or whatever. What are your top 2 favorite moments or scenes from King Kong versus
man.
Godzilla? We go one round, then we do it again. Steve, what is your first pick?
First pick is when Godzilla and Kong are fighting over the Atami Castle.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
That's one right there, destroying the Atami Castle.
Yeah.
Marcellus.
I gotta agree with Steve, man. When he hawked up and was like, "It's on," and they went over that castle. That's the best scene. When he finally got that electricity, that was the best scene. When that fight scene, definitely.
David.
All right, I'm going to go a little bit, take a little curveball here, and I'm going to act it out. Ready? What do you make of that, Al? Godzilla!
Yes.
when he emerges from that iceberg,
Yes.
okay, all bets are off. I mean, I love Atami Castle, of course, but the iceberg emerging, his appearance from the iceberg is just incredible, just absolutely incredible.
Beto, your first moment, your first favorite moment.
My favorite, okay, the final battle, I love it. It's brutal, really. It's very the monsters destroying all and the fast camera movements and all. But I think my favorite sense is all the sequence when the fight with the giant octopus. This is my
That's
favorite.
pretty incredible.
It was so creepy, so nasty, and cheap at the same time, and I love it. Yeah, I think this is my favorite one.
Yes.
Okay, for me, I'm going to agree with David and that entrance from the iceberg. Now, mind you, when I first saw that moment, I didn't see Gigantus the Fire Monster.
Me neither.
Actually, let me just say this right fast for Marcellus and Steve. Try and check out Gigantus the Fire Monster. Try to do the Japanese version first because the American one will more likely infuriate the crap out of you. So I would say try and watch Gigantus the Fire Monster or Godzilla Raids again. If nothing else, you get to see Godzilla fight Anguirus in a brutal battle, and that's worth it alone. Now, when I saw King Kong versus Godzilla, and I saw when the scene is built up, I was like, okay, it's got to be Kong or Godzilla coming out of that iceberg. I was like, it can't be Kong. I don't care who it is. It can't be Kong. So I knew it had to be Godzilla at some point. But even though I knew that, and when it finally happens and he just tears open the iceberg and just roars, and in my opinion, it has got to be in the conversation of like his top 3 or top 5 best entrances ever.
I agree, Leslie.
Ever.
100%.
Ever. All right, Steve, your second favorite moment.
So
Go for it.
Beto took my number 2, which was the fight with the giant octopus. So my other favorite moment is a little different. It's when Kong first takes the shot from the Godzilla's breath to the chest, and he's smoking.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the guy says it's like fighting a flamethrower, and you see Kong kind of look down and wander away. It's like, oh, he's again, Kong is a thinking animal, so he's got to figure this out. So he's like, nah, F that, I'm out.
Yeah.
That little moment when
that's
he's got to be smarter than Godzilla.
Yes.
I got to tie with it, man. It's my second one is when the soldier ran to the general and was like, King Kong is on in the city.
Oh,
he was
yes.
like, King Kong, and he run through it with his arms up.
Oh yes.
I love that scene when he comes through there like that. But y'all ain't gonna hate this one. I love, man, when they blew up the ship that was carrying him, and he come up out that water, and he just standing there doing this that whole time. I could rewind that 100 times. I just love the two scenes. When he come on that scene out that water, man, was just perfect. It was perfect. It was the camera effect too. That camera shot.
Yeah, it was almost like
the camera shot was coming up over them, so it was showing them and Kong. Man, you couldn't tell me that wasn't real. I was like, King Kong real, y'all. He live in the water. He coming. He gonna be in Columbus next week. He coming, y'all.
Okay, I have a question for all you.
For me?
For all. Okay.
What's that?
My question is this: for you guys, what is the more cheap part of the film? The more, oh no, this is not possible. This is
the worst.
so
The
bad.
worst part of the film.
Yes.
All right. Well, let me start with Leslie's question first. My second favorite scene has to be Terror on the Suguru Express, where Godzilla is attacking the train in Hokkaido. I was on a train in Hokkaido, and I was thinking that the whole time I'm looking out the window, I'm like, when's Godzilla coming? That scene is actually scary, and Godzilla is terrorizing those people. They're running for their lives, you know? And Fumiko is just like totally terrified. She's running, she falls into the stream and everything. And Godzilla's like right there, just keeps walking. He doesn't even see her, but it looks like, you know, she thinks he's coming for her, but he's just like going that way. But I love that scene, Terror on the Suguru Express. I love it. And do you want me to do the cheapest moment too? The thing that I think is the worst?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Oh man.
I got this.
Oh man. Probably when King Kong is up on top of the diet building and the berry juice is exploding. They show a close-up of the puppet face, and he's doing his eyes like this, and his hands look like paper mache. And that is like the worst face ever. He's just like that goofy ass, you know, Jim Henson rejected, you know, head. That's, to me, is like, oh no, this is not right. This is not right.
Okay, for me,
every time that to me looks the cheapest is that stop motion scene when Godzilla kicks Kong.
Oh yeah,
he's turning the tail and with the yes.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty painful.
Yes.
There was a scene,
and to make it worse, the stop motion models look nothing like the suits in the film at all.
Yeah,
Oh.
there was a scene in the fight scene where the helicopter was far away and they was over the mountain, and you could see them with the little sticks. You could see them, and Kong was just like this. You could see the little sticks with them doing it far away.
Oh no!
Why would y'all even do that? Why would y'all put that part in there? I hate it. I always rewind. I always go past it because you can see the little sticks with them going like this over the trees.
Yeah,
that's the worst scene ever.
Let's see. My second favorite scene is, and I even to this day I mark out when I see it because, like Steve, I'm a huge Kong fan. But at that moment in the fight when Godzilla, he basically has Godzilla dead to rights. He could have killed Kong if he wanted to, but he decided to mess with him, and that was Godzilla's fault. He should have finished him off. But when Kong gets that second charge of energy and he rises up like a zombie and he spots Godzilla and he grabs the tail and just whips him around. Every time I see that, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. That's like the second coming of Jesus. I love that. I love when he just grabs Godzilla and just whipping around. Because how many times have we seen Godzilla? How many times have we seen Godzilla pick up Megalon, pick up King Ghidorah, and just take that by the tail and just ram him into the ground over and over and over? This time, Godzilla got his own medicine by Kong. He just takes him and just like, I just.
And Leslie,
the worst part about the movie, at least the cheap part about the movie, I won't say is the worst, but the one that I wish that they could have done, I wish they could have arrested Mr. Taco, because that guy, he deserves to get arrested for what happened.
He's responsible.
So funny.
Yeah,
it's so funny when they are transporting Kong from Faroe Island to Japan and they get stopped by the military. And it's like, in this unrealistic film, they have this realistic notion like, look, we don't want Kong in our backyard. We already got one giant monster here. We don't need two of them, so take it back. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
No.
And Leslie, to your point, is it me? Or like we get the shots in this film of Godzilla clapping like he's kind of.
Oh yes, he claps. Yes,
right?
But you know what? To my eyes,
which one?
Worst parts and the cheapest and the man, the balloons.
Oh, the balloons. Yeah,
the balloons, man. Oh man, the puppet all with no articulation. Man, he's dead.
Yeah.
No, it's terrible when
the balloon ride.
Flying
it's not executed well. You're right about that.
Right.
But someone does need to do a kick.
Yes, exactly.
Well, one scene that always bugs the hell out of me, and see if it bugs the hell out of you too. It's one Godzilla scene in the very beginning at the NATO base where Godzilla first shoots his atomic breath. They show that terrible puppet of Godzilla's head that looks nothing like the actual suit. It's like when I was a kid, I'm like, what's going on here? Like it totally confused me because I'm like, why is that? That's the only time that they used it too. It's in that amount of time, and it's just like. It's like rounded and just no.
Okay, but
no.
Here's the next question. Now, this is kind of like we can kind of like not take too much time with it, but explain as much as we can in a short amount of time.
Sure.
But let's put our thinking caps on for this one, okay? And of course, I'm sure you know the story, Steve, David. You know the story about that. This film was really like a changing point, because they recognized that Godzilla's audience was changing from adult, people to now children were rooting for him, even though he was the villain. So they decided to make these films more whimsical. Some would say campy, some would say childish or whatever. I say fun or whatever. But it was two conflicting philosophies behind that. Tsuburaya felt that that's where the series should be going. And as you saw, we got the Great Showa series out of it, but it seems like every single film, made less money. And plus, when the rise of television came in, that didn't help out. But you have Honda, the director, on the other hand, felt like nothing comedic should be involved with the monsters. And he felt that both Kong and Godzilla should be portrayed more seriously or more mature. So my question is this: which philosophy do you subscribe to? Do you wish that they would have kept Godzilla a little more serious?
I like that question.
At least for a couple more movies, and then maybe gradually turn him into a hero? Or are you with Tsuburaya and what we got in the end? Steve, go first.
So
wow.
Because I view it, to me, I think this film was fun unintentionally. I think it was meant to be a serious monster film. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the American soundtrack is the Creature in the Black Lagoon music.
Absolutely. It's the Hans Zimmer cue for the Creature. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
What it is. So I viewed it as a serious film when I was young that I just happened to have a blast watching. So I think it was intended to be kind of, even the trailer, it's like, oh, the horror,
But which one would you want it to be? I think his question is, which one, if you were, making it, which one would you want? Which direction would you go in?
Because honestly, even the Japanese version, they treat it like a comedy.
They did.
The American version didn't do much better with it, but this film, in all intents and purposes, even though they talk about serious monsters that in their original incarnations were really darker, serious, more destructive versions of themselves, and they kind of lighten them up a little bit. But my question was, Honda felt like they should be kept more serious and not comedic. Tsuburaya felt they should change them up and lighten them up to garner more towards children. So the question is, which philosophy are you more of a fan of? Are you more of a fan of them keeping him serious a little bit more, where we got more of a villainous Godzilla before they gradually turn into a hero, or are you with Tsuburaya?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say I'm more with Tsuburaya. I think these are not meant to be taken seriously. I think these are meant to be fun. I think as fans, we're already in. I think if you try to take something like a 300-foot tall gorilla and a 350-foot tall resurrected dinosaur and make a serious film out of it, you've missed the point. My opinion.
Fair enough.
How about you, Marcellus? Where do you stand on this?
I kind of like them a little bit more serious. I think they're gonna be fun regardless. Because of the giant monsters. I think it's gonna be fun. Whichever way you go. I would like to see him more serious, but more like an anti-villain. Where he's tearing up and doing his thing until somebody arrives, until Mechagodzilla arrives, or till Megalon arrives. And then
like Sea Monster, like Sea Monster, right? Like Sea Monster.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, like the Sea Monster. More anti-villain throughout the entire series, because I think no matter which way you went, it's gonna be fun. I mean, we gonna turn into kids regardless because of the giant monster. But I would have liked to see them more serious.
But I think, Marcellus, to your point, I think you're hitting it on the head, and it's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is that I don't think the film was meant to be a comedy.
Exactly.
It just is a lot of fun. I don't think I think it's trying to be in the middle. I don't think it's trying to be, one extreme or the other. It just happened to sort of skew that way.
Interesting.
Interesting. I agree. I think the only one that they
there is
kind of
something
try to make a little humorous was Godzilla versus Megalon a little bit. I think that.
Oh yeah, that was straight up comedy.
Yeah, I think they was trying to. And the craziest thing, I would have loved for that would have been more serious because I loved. I mean, when I was a child, I loved Megalon.
Megalon's a cool monster. I agree.
I mean, I loved Megalon, and of course Jet Jaguar. And so, if that one was more of a serious one, and I wish Godzilla had a longer role in that movie, but I would have said more serious. You're gonna get fun regardless.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that the film that we actually got is exactly what Leslie was saying. It was kind of conflicting. Godzilla. Every time the creatures were by themselves, they were sort of serious. Godzilla was very serious. Kong was kind of serious on Faro Island. He was serious when he was destroying Tokyo. When they got together, that's when the comedy ensued, right? And they turned anthropomorphic, totally more than Godzilla ever has, and he didn't do it again until Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, sort of. But we all know how when that dream team of Tsuburaya, Honda, and Ifukube decide to do a serious entry, we get Mothra versus Godzilla.
Yeah,
that is very little. The monsters have no comedy whatsoever. They are dead.
Absolutely not.
There's one character, what's his name, who eats the eggs. That's one small character that has comedy relief. And you can find Torahata.
His tail stuck.
That's right. You can find Torahata and Kumiyama a little bit comedic with their antics, but for the most part, that is a serious movie. And I think that one of the things that makes King Kong versus Godzilla work, because it's both. It's a little bit of both, and you get a little bit of Honda, you get a little bit of Tsuburaya, because you get the seriousness of Godzilla just destroying the NATO base, and then they're trying their damnedest to kill him. That whole operation with the pit doesn't work as it turns out, and the whole electrical barrier, and it does work for a little bit, but I think the film itself, two things are true at the same time, and that's what we got. If it was me, I would want it more serious. I love me some serious Godzilla. 54, 64, 84. I love a serious Godzilla, and I really love Godzilla versus the military. Those scenes really get my goat, because I think that's the greatest. Man against Godzilla. Excuse me. But in King Kong versus Godzilla, definitely we get a little bit of each. I'd say the comedy wins out if you're doing it like 60-40 maybe. But there are some very serious elements of that film. I mean, the submarine Seahawk gets destroyed. All those people died, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They all died. And, those people on the train, a lot of those people died too. And but yeah, we get a little bit of both, because the most anthropomorphic probably Godzilla was for quite some time. He doesn't get that anthropomorphic probably until Sea Monster.
Yep.
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
But David, this is a film, and I think Leslie, you would agree, this is really a film of firsts when it comes to Godzilla.
Yeah.
First time
absolutely.
Godzilla with a personality.
Yep.
This is the first time that the world saw Godzilla in color.
Yes.
And we all realized he wasn't green.
Also King Kong. Also King Kong is the first time you see King Kong in color.
Correct.
That's right.
That's absolutely true. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And it shocked a lot of people, I think.
Yes.
Well, in all of the Godzilla Showa films, he is the most green looking in this movie in some of the day scenes.
Yes.
He's like a gray green in some of the scenes.
Yeah.
So when I painted my Aurora model kit, I did it gray green, like an army green, because that's what I based it on from King Kong versus Godzilla. And I think that's what most people based it on. But yeah, I say both.
There is something interesting about Ishiro Honda. My favorite movies for Ishiro Honda movies is not King Kong versus Godzilla. My favorite movies is Frankenstein versus Baragon.
Love that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, these are serious, very, very serious. There is not
one ounce of comedy in that movie. Nothing.
No.
Zero.
And I think what happened really in King Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla is not it's like a proto Godzilla. It's not the definitive Godzilla in this movie. He jumps from a parody or a satire of the atomic bomb to this monster. This is the first time you see as a character, as a monster.
Right.
It's not
Exactly.
a force of the nature, naturales. I don't know. Okay, but in this part, I think the comic relief is maybe try to give some, not make so serious the movie. I think is in part is intentional to make some comic relief, but most of the comic parts I think is involuntary. It's not really, they not try to do a funny movie. Now, if you see the new version, the Monsterverse version, uh, they try to sell a serious movie, a Titanic movie, and honestly, it's like a parody. It's not serious at all. And I think all the movies, especially the Godzilla movies, are part of the depend of the era they were doing, is the tone and the style of the movies. If it's serious or if more funny or is like I don't know. The Edora is really a hippie movie. Is peace and love, and all is part of the era when it was
Yeah.
done. It's
Yeah.
the 17 movie, so
Yeah.
Right.
it's
Well,
hard to judge or say this is funny or this is comic. I don't think they do this in thinking in this in produce this thinking in do a funny or a comic movie.
Well, clearly,
I
clearly, the human characters, Mr. Furu, the corns, and Mr. Furu, Kono, of course, Mr. Taco. That's comedic. That's comedy. 101 right there. I mean, the actor who plays Mr. Taco was billed as the Japanese Charlie Chaplin, right? So they definitely intended to have some of the human characters be comical, because some of those scenes are very funny. Even Fumiko is funny in some of the scenes.
Yeah.
You know?
Corn.
Now, the
Yeah,
way
the
I look
corns.
at it, now see, but the way I look at it is, I'm actually on board with it. It could have gone either way, but I am glad that Mothra versus Godzilla, that Godzilla is portrayed as a serious force that people actually fear in that movie,
Absolutely.
because honestly, they don't react that way to Godzilla in King Kong versus Godzilla, and you think they would, consider the fact that they thought they got rid of him in 1955, and they thought he was gone forever. Then he pops up out of nowhere 7 years later. Again, I've always felt like the way they responded to him in Mothra versus Godzilla is how they should respond to him in King Kong versus Godzilla. But I also agree with Subaraya in a way where, as much as I love the 54 and 55, honestly, if every single film the Showa series were like those movies, I don't think the Showa series would be as fun, because when you think about 54, that whole movie is a tragedy. That whole movie
somber.
is gloomy.
It's
It is
gloomy and
somber.
Yeah.
There is no comedy in there whatsoever.
Zero. Nothing.
But then you jump to King Kong versus Godzilla, which is like a 180 and is lighter in tone. We're talking about still giant monsters that can do a lot of damage. But I'm fine with either way, but I would have loved to have seen at least one more film involving the 62 as a suit. I don't know how they could have done that.
I would have loved that too, Leslie. Me too.
Because I think the story for Mothra vs. Godzilla suit the 64 even perfectly, but I would have wished that we would have gotten at least one more film with the 62. But either way, I'm fine with it either way. Now, one last question about the film, and then we're going to move on to the collectibles, and then we'll be up out of here. Okay. Be honest. I don't care if you piss somebody off. You know what? It's the internet. You're going to do that regardless. Say how you feel. But in your opinion,
Uh-oh.
who won? Who won between King Kong versus Godzilla? Was it Kong? Was it Godzilla? Was it a draw? Be honest, in your opinion. Who won the fight? Monsterverse, we already know who won. Monsterverse, we know who won, okay. But in this film, who won? Steve, go for it.
Yeah, so we've all heard the theories over the years. There was always the conspiracy theory that there were two different endings depending on where you lived.
That's right.
For me as a kid, when you see Kong pop up and swim away, he won. He won. And I wonder if there was some sort of contractual agreement when they used Kong that he had to be shown last or something to that effect. It wouldn't surprise me. But
That's what I've been saying. I've been saying that for the longest.
There's an earthquake at the end. He's the strongest. There's an earthquake at the end of the film, which I always took that to me Godzilla tunneling under the earth to go back to sleep so that we could see him later in more movies. But Kong wins the fight.
Yeah. To be honest,
Marcellus, you're next.
I think Godzilla beat the brake pass off Kong.
Yeah.
I think he won, and he whooped him where Kong was like, I'm out. I'm going back home. Godzilla was like, dude, I don't even feel like fighting him no more. I got more movies to make.
That's right.
I got more monsters to fight. I think
I'm going to debunk that real fast.
Oh
boy.
Preach, Leslie. Let's hear it.
No, I'm waiting. Go ahead. Finish.
Leslie.
Oh, let him finish. Let him finish.
I think Kong gave him all he had, and he was like, I'm done. I'm going back home. And Godzilla was like, bro, I'm tired of whooping you. I gave you 1 round, 3 rounds to 1. So he won that last round, but Godzilla hit him up them first 3 rounds, man. So I think he won. I think Godzilla won that.
Well,
David.
I think my friend Marcellus is not wrong in his assessment, because Godzilla definitely is the stronger creature of the two.
Yep.
He has more arsenal. He had the upper hand in every single time they met, except for that last time. If that lightning strike didn't happen, Kong would have been roasted, like they said in the helicopter. And it did. So I'm not finished yet. So Kong got that last burst of energy from that damn electrical charge, and he actually ended up being the victor in the long run, because Steve, my theory is different. They both tumble off of Atomic Castle, right? But before that, Kong kind of has him on the run. Godzilla's backing up. Kong's going forward. So I even saw that in the film. Kong is the one that's pursuing him. Godzilla's kind of going this way, and Godzilla kind of hides behind the Atomic Castle, right? He's behind it, using it as a shield or whatever.
Yeah.
However, when they tumble over the cliff, Godzilla gets buried by the earthquake that happens from the impact. That's why he doesn't surface. He's buried.
Yeah.
He stays under that residue until the typhoon washes him up in Mothra versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
But I hate to say it, and I used to fight with my friends as kids back home. Kong, in that last battle, Kong won because he pops up and like I said, he kept backing up. Godzilla was backing up, and Kong was going forward, even though Godzilla, every other time they met, completely kicked his ass. Okay. And if Godzilla was concerned about winning, he would have fried King Kong like in that first meeting. He could have used his atomic breath and killed him then. But I with much angst, I have to say Kong ultimately won the battle. And Forrest J. Ackerman screwed me up, Steve, in Famous Monsters of Filmland. He's the one that put out the rumor, if you live in Japan, Godzilla was the victor. And it's like, oh yes, I want to see that movie. And then when I finally saw the movie, when I moved to New York City, the widescreen Japanese version, it's the same damn thing. Although you hear Godzilla's roar last.
Yes.
They put Godzilla last, so he did have the last word, as it were. But
the truth will
that's the way I think. That's what I think.
I think there is not a discussion about who is the hero here. The hero is King Kong, not Godzilla.
Tell him,
Godzilla
Beto.
is the
You tell him, Beto.
They wanted Kong to be the hero from the beginning.
And if you see the fight, it's the classic fight. The hero receives a lot of punches. The hero is hurted, but in the end, the hero research and defeat the villain. The villain. King Kong is the hero. King Kong wins, but I don't think they have the director or the producers have the. I think in the last moment, they decide not show the Godzilla defeat. I think they stop the fight. They throw to the water. It's end. Who wins? Who lose? Nobody knows. And it's open to another sequels. It's open to keep Godzilla as the king of the monsters, and the fans of King Kong are happy because he wins. Is
That's
that
right.
I think there is not. You can't say because it's not shown, but the hero is King Kong, and the hero wins. It's easy. And I love Godzilla. My number one is Godzilla. But
Me too.
In this movie,
Yeah, we have to be honest. You're right.
It's
right.
that.
It's like the ending of The Sopranos. We don't know what happened, but we
Yes.
do know what happened. You know.
Yes,
boy.
exactly.
Boy,
Now-
Beto really summed that up perfectly.
He sure
Yeah.
did. Now,
Sorry for my bad English, but I tried to practice.
No, you
more,
were
I
perfect.
promise.
No, you're good, Beto.
Perfectly
You're good.
articulate.
You're good.
I understood it.
You're
now,
All right, Leslie Chambers, what do you say?
for all those people out there, what I'm about to say, don't take it out on David, Christine, Kyle, and John.
Uh-oh.
Don't unsubscribe, okay?
Uh-oh.
Don't take it out on them. But I'm gonna be real, and you know me, I'm always about keeping it real.
Yes, you are.
And honestly, I've been saying it for the longest time. And quite frankly, I'm getting tired of saying it, and I'm sure y'all get tired of hearing it. But I really don't give a damn what you're tired of. The truth. And you can try to run from it. You can try to hide from it. You can try to say it is a draw to make yourself feel better or make it so that Godzilla did not lose. But the bottom line is King Kong was the winner, or at least he was the intended winner. Now, you can have the Monsterverse. There is no debating that. But in 1962, like what Beto said, Kong was the star. Kong was even the bigger star in Japan than Godzilla.
That's right. Godzilla was still young. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so it had to happen that way. And again, Godzilla was the villain. Now, on top of that, I know it's kind of embarrassing the way Kong lost on the Monsterverse. Godzilla beat him to the point, put that dude on cardiac arrest. But you know what is even more embarrassing? You know what's even more embarrassing? And of course, Marcellus tried to say, oh, yeah, Kong was swimming away because he was scared. He had enough of Godzilla. Blah, 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 blah. No.
controversy.
No. The reason why Kong was swimming away, because guess what? Japan is not where he's from. He's going home. So you know what happened? King Kong came to Japan, came to Godzilla's backyard, and beat the crap out of him in his own backyard. That's equivalent to somebody. That's equivalent to somebody coming to your house right now, open up your front door, kick down the door, beat you out of your bed, and throw you out your own house. That's exactly what happened. So again, to all the Godzilla fans out there that try to justify it, that try to come up with reasons why Godzilla was ruled with Kong, it was a draw. It wasn't Kong didn't win. No, Kong won. And honestly, if you believe that Godzilla won, or if you believe it's a draw, you obviously still believe that the Earth is still flat. You obviously still believe. You obviously still believe that Smith, Married for Love. You believe in all these conspiracy theories, but at the end of the day, the truth will find you. And I'm here to tell you that truth. You may not want to hear it. You may not want to accept it. You may try to find a way to get around it. But at the end of the day, this guy beat this guy in his own backyard back in 1962. And honestly, it's the same way he's defeated in the next film. And the next film is mine favorite film, but you don't hear us complaining about Godzilla losing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You can't make a case for Mothra and not make a case for King Kong because they're both the same thing.
That's true. There's the microphone so you can drop it.
Again.
You know what? You know what? We all kind of said that in a roundabout way. Like, I agree with you. He won. I'm not happy about it. Am I happy about it? Hell no. Do I want to admit it? No. But do I have to admit it? Yes.
Yeah. And you know what, David? You're one of the good ones because you're a Godzilla fan that actually faces the truth.
Yeah.
But seriously. We're just having fun, folks. Okay? We're just having fun.
Fine. Kong won, damn it. Leslie is hard. Leslie is hyped
we-
up. Yep.
We're
Mhm.
just having fun. We're having fun talking about this movie because honestly, it's a great movie. Despite how you feel about it, how you feel about the designs, the bad points, the low points, the high points, the great points. This is an important film. In my opinion, this film had a lot more to do with why we got the awesome Showa series.
Yeah.
You're right.
fight-
You're 100%
with
right.
because again, they laid Godzilla dormant for 7 years after 55, right? They experimented with Rodan, the Mysterians, Mothra, Varan, but it wasn't until King Kong versus Godzilla where it took Godzilla hanging there with King Kong. That's why I have no problem with Kong winning, because at the end of the day, look what we got out of it. In my opinion, this movie made Godzilla more of a star than King Kong ever was. So for that reason, I have no problem saying King Kong won in the battle. But when it comes to the war in the grand scheme of things, Godzilla was the ultimate winner. Because look what we got out of it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
But that's it with the movie discussion. Now let's move on to the collectibles. We kind of talked about Kong a little bit. But my first question, I have two questions, and then we can go into our top 3 collectibles from this movie. Okay. The first question is for you, David.
Yes.
And
Yes, sir.
and if anybody has any type of input to this, you can chime in as well. But in your opinion, because again, King Goji, there are so many collectibles of him out there, model kits, X plus figures, Sofubi or whatever. But let's talk about Sofubi just a little bit, because I know you're a huge Sofubi fan. But in your opinion, what is the best version, Sofubi version of the King Goji that's out there? Whether you have it, whether you don't have it. Either way, the floor is yours.
Interesting. That's a really hard question, Leslie, because as you mentioned, there's so many Sofubi interpretations of the 62 suit. I have them all down here at my feet, and I thought I was going to show them all, but I'm gonna have to just pick one out of the bunch of Sofubi, and I'm gonna pick this one because I know a lot of people love this and a lot of people are after this. This is the Giant Marmot 1962 Godzilla. I think this is a beautiful sculpt. It came in several paint variants. One is sort of like a greenish color, but this is the one that I chose to get. I think it's a really interesting sort of reddish brown with green highlights. It's a really big figure, as you can see. Like here he is compared to the M1. He's gigantic. Like he's really big. And this is a kit. This is a figure that's pretty hard to come by these days. But I think just from the scale and from the sculpting details, the face is really good.
Wow.
He looks good from almost every angle, and sometimes he looks really goofy from the front, but he even looks good from the front. But I'd say the best Sofubi representation is this one, the Marmot Giant 62. I mean,
all right.
It's a tough one. That was a tough question.
Hey, Leslie, I think Beto's got to run, so I just wanted to break in real quick and thank him for joining us.
Oh,
No,
yeah, absolutely.
thank you.
Beto, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. I
Thank
hope
you.
I can talk with all you again.
I hope
was
so
a lot
too.
of fun. It's not, I don't know, it's not common for me to talk with other people about all this. And of course, in Mexico, it's more difficult, even because there is not too much fans like in USA. And really, thank you, guys. It was a pleasure to talk with you all. And thank you for your support. And Steve, we need
Put your
to
Kongs
prepare
up.
more
Put your
surprises
Kongs up for
because-
Beto.
We will talk soon.
Put your
Yes.
Kongs up. Where's my Kong? Where'd he go? Oh, here he is.
Put him up for
Okay,
Beto.
thank you, guys. See you.
Talk soon, amigo.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Steve, you got
Awesome
the next
guy.
question. Steve. All right, Steve, you got the next question. And of course, I know you're a huge model kid. I have never seen anybody that collect that many 62s in my life. Never, ever,
Man.
ever. When I think of
Me neither.
biggest King Goji fan, you're the first one that comes to my mind. I think about all those glorious kits you have behind you when you do make these appearances on these shows and streams and
And
stuff like
I
that.
apologize
But
for
in-
moving, so that's why several were missing.
Oh yeah, I understand. But in your opinion, what are the top 3 sculpted figures or sculpts of the King Goji? In your opinion, the top 3. Doesn't matter what company
Okay.
or whatever, but top 3.
Top 3. So number 1, even though it's smaller, the Sakai with the Atami Castle is directly from that still in the film. So I think it's actually pretty perfect. That's my first one. Second one, I'm going to say I sadly sold it to Doc Mack, who is the proprietor of KaijuKits.com. I felt like it was my responsibility to give something back. The Sakai 30 centimeter that was released for order at Wonderfest a couple of years ago. I know you know what I'm talking about. That Sakai, everyone hopes that X Plus makes it in vinyl, is perfect. And probably it's close, man. They're all good. But I would say this guy right here that I think might be in front of you, the KOC. Man, it's
Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus.
Right?
That's tough to beat, man.
I'm gonna break the rules. I got some special the sort of the runners up. Okay.
Go for it.
Size 50 centimeter is right there. I can barely
Wow.
hold right now because it's
That's
23
a
pounds.
NATO base pose if I ever saw one.
It's solid resin. So the Asai 50 centimeter, again, is really tough to pick apart. And special shout out to my man Husan for the Piranha Studios 35 centimeter.
Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. So I think that I can't remember, there are 6 or 9 in the world that were made for Wonderfest. This is one of those that were made. So yeah, also amazing. Tough to beat. But I got to say that Sakai's and the KOC, you can't mess with that KOC, David.
You can't. The only one that comes close. Can I show it, Leslie, real quick?
You sure can. Do it.
This is the Atragon GK 1962.
Why couldn't S Plus paint it like that? Why couldn't they have painted it like that?
This is I think it almost rivals the KOC. The KOC tops it because of the scale, but the detail on this one alone, it's just stunning, and it looks just like it walked out of the movie. I mean, look at that face.
Wow.
I tell you, David, the Sakai is a little better.
I believe you.
But I mean, it's that Atragon for years was the sculpt to beat.
And then there's one more. I got one more. This is interesting. This is the Asai Kaiju Freaks, 1962.
Yes.
Which is it's got more of a dynamic pose.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like the big one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But this is just straight up 30 centimeters. But I love the pose. It's a little bit stylized the way the mouth is, but I really, really like this one too. And I had a lot of fun building him. So
I'm jealous of that one. And special mention for me, Leslie, is the Wave Paradise.
Oh yeah, that's classic. Yeah. I built that one before. Yeah. That's amazing.
And this is the very first vinyl kit I ever bought with my own money back in the late 80s. My father took me over it because it was $100 back then. But
hey Steve, what you like better, that 50 centimeter or that Sakai? Can I see that Sakai again?
Oh, you're talking the small one?
No, that big one.
Oh, the big one. Yeah, hang on. The Asai. Yeah.
The Kaiju Freaks.
Yeah, the Kaiju Freaks.
God.
That's pretty amazing.
I'm going to strip them, but they're clear inset pieces. I'm trying my best to show this because it is 23 pounds. This was not fun to ship. And you have to drill with the 1/4-inch steel pins.
Oh my gosh.
You'll never touch the ground.
Okay. And what was the other one you showed that was right up over you?
Was right up. Oh, the Piranha. Yeah, I got it. Sorry, I'm not exactly a heavyweight, so these things get heavy.
They are really heavy.
Cow. How many centimeters is that?
This is 35 centimeter.
Which is a perfect scale for a figure. I love 35 centimeters.
That thing right there is amazing.
When this was shown and announced, I immediately messaged Husan, the sculptor, and said, "Hey, how can I get one of those?" And he helped me acquire one. But
it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
It is. It is. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Marcellus.
Yes, sir.
Marcellus, I was saying the one he just showed. If you can, one more time, Steve, hold up the bigger one, the Asai that you have. The Asai Kaiju Freaks one. Marcellus. Yeah, that one. Marcellus, I've been saying that, and I know model kit purists may not. I know some model kit purists don't like when S Plus take kits and make them the figures, but I was saying we got the gigantic 54 in the Favor Sculptors line. They should take this sculpt of the 62 and put it in the Favor Sculptors line in the gigantic series. That right there,
man. That right there. that's probably one of the dopest poses. That
Right?
thing is amazing.
Look, Leslie, you
That's
want
amazing.
gigantic? I'm sorry, did you say gigantic? I got Christine's size right here.
Oh my God! Wow.
Oh, the
Steve,
paradise, the
Steve, you
paradise,
keep
right?
doing that?
Yeah, paradise.
Oh
60
God,
centimeters.
yeah. Oh,
Well,
God.
there's no reason that X Plus can't do this because X Plus did this. Remember?
Yep. Yep.
X
That's a
Plus
30
did this.
that's
This
30
is the 30
centimeters.
centimeter
Right.
favorite sculptor line. This is also Inoue Arts, aka Paradise, kit that they made into a figure, and it looks really great. It's a one. It comes with a nice, cool little base with telephone poles and everything.
You got that from me, right, Dave?
I got that from you, Steve.
Yes.
I certainly did, and I gave it a little bit of a paint upgrade, and there it is. This was straight from a kit, and so there's absolutely no reason why they can't do one of those. The biggest side kit. I mean, I hope they don't because I got no room for it. But
Well, and
I
also,
mean,
I don't think it really fits with their gigantic scale.
it doesn't.
It's a little
It's a weird in between scale, but they've been known to do that because the G2K is in that weird sort of intermediate scale. It's not really gigantic, but it's pretty big
And
at the same
Leslie,
time.
I think if we've learned anything, is that the 62 suit is insanely popular and always sells.
That's right.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Because
saying.
it's
They
awesome.
should use. That's what I'm saying. They should use that sculpt of the Kaiju Freaks as like the favorite sculptors line,
It is
gigantic,
really
like they did with the 54. You know. But Marcellus, here's your next question, and then we're gonna go into the rapid fire 3 rounds of our top 3 collectibles of our collectibles from King Kong versus Godzilla. That'll be it. I want you to showcase. You got a certain giant sculpture that you just made recently or put together recently.
Yes.
You got it. Show that off.
Yes.
Show it off right fast. And talk about it. Come on, let's see it. What you got?
Let me pull this thing out of here. Can y'all see
careful.
this thing? I'm gonna pull him up off of here.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Wow, look at that, man. That's awesome.
Mean, I tell you what, I got this thing, man, at G Fest, and it's some secrets to this. Man, this thing is amazing. And, of course, you see Leslie, Steve, and them with those kits. And I saw this at G Fest, and I just had to have it, right? And I'm still a rookie. I'm still learning with the kits. But, I've been an artist for years. I've been an airbrush artist. I've been an artist for a while. And then you got some amazing guys on here, man, with those kits, from Steve to Dave to Mark, and them guys helped me through this. And but what I do when I was painting these kits, I'm playing the movie. I play the movie like it's playing the entire time.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to find stuff in the movie that's not being put on the kits. And so one of the things I saw when I'm watching the 62 Kong, if you're watching that, and I'm watching on high definition, he got like 4 or 5 different shades of brown going through his
yes, he does.
His fur.
Yes,
and
he
then
does.
there's a lot of black in there. So when I'm painting, I'm trying to bring out exactly what is in the movie. Now y'all gonna crack up on this one. So I wanted the eyes to look more gorilla-like. I know he got the milky looking eyes, so I wanted his eyes to have that more of a gorilla look, right? And so Dave, you're gonna trip out on this one.
Oh,
so
no.
I wanted to do something real crazy. So the eyes, if you can see these eyes,
let me see.
These eyes in there. See those eyes?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Nice.
See how those eyes look?
I do. I like that, actually.
You would never guess what they are.
What is it?
I took a Barbie doll.
No, you did not.
I took a Barbie doll, Dave.
I'm out of here. See you later.
Listen,
I'm out of here.
I cut the eyes out of a Barbie doll, and then I trimmed all of the back of the eyes. I wanted a certain look. But the Barbie doll had the exact fit of what I wanted. So I took the Barbie doll, I cut the eyes out, and then I trimmed it real thin, and then I laid it into the eye sockets, and then I took the airbrush paint and I painted all the details around the eyes, and then I put like 10 different shades of gloss and varnish on top of the eyes to give it that. Let me get it in.
That's
there.
amazing.
Look,
What that's innovation right there. That's innovation.
Yeah, it was this, you know, I love it, man. This is this
You gave him
scope,
RuPaul
man,
eyes.
huh?
You gave him RuPaul eyes. That's Kong, damn it. That's King
So
Kong, damn it.
My Kong got Barbie doll eyes, man. He
That's
got
all
Barbie
right.
doll eyes.
All right.
And then with this, let me get here. This here.
That's super. That is super creative. As
yeah.
as Adrian says, that's
You know,
really
I
great.
had to ask Mark. I said, Mark, am I allowed to do this, man? So on this base, you know, I know a lot of people paint the base kind of like, you know, the gray. I was trying to watch the movie, man. You know, when they was fighting in that like whole dirt sand.
Yep.
And so I tried to bring that out. You know, I seen the big gray rocks, and then I went through, of course, I saw Steve's thing with the tentacles. And that thing, man, and here's the funny thing. I found those tentacles. It was in one of my local toy shops here that I just got last Saturday.
No way.
So yeah, I just found those tentacles. I got them upstairs. And so, man, the kit was amazing. It was real simple, real easy. And but like I said, when I'm painting, I'm trying to really bring out what was in the movie more so than just slapping a paint job on there. Kong, he was real dark.
Barber wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
Barber wasn't in the movie.
Huh?
Barber was not in that movie. Barber was not in that movie.
No, I wasn't supposed to tell that
I'm
out
mad.
loud.
I am mad about that thing. I am so mad
I
about
wasn't
that thing.
supposed to say it out loud, man. I mean, but them eyes is just, they menacing, you know.
But Marcellus, you forgot the most important part because you have the movie on in the background.
Yes.
You got to pick which scene you want to paint because Kong looks different in every scene. He looks different from night to day. And I chose for mine. This is more of a night scene.
Yep.
Okay. If you look at there, you can see this is the Faroe Island Kong, kind of, right? Because he's definitely got more gray in there, but the way you did it, he's got more of the brown tones.
Yeah,
that's what he looks like during the day.
It was the fight scene.
Yep,
it was
the fight scene.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah,
it was that fight scene, Steve.
And I had to ask all the people whose kits I did, do you want the day scene or you want the night scene? Because depending on which one you get, sometimes I do a lot of almost exactly like yours, and sometimes I do the darker one. Kyle Yount actually did a Billiken, and he did a night scene. He did a really dark face, and when I looked at it, at first I wasn't sure, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what? That really works. That's like a night scene.
Yeah.
And same thing with Godzilla. Every scene there's a different shade.
It's a different shade.
And you said it's simple. It's actually not simple because there's browns, there's tans, there's reds, and there's blacks.
Yeah.
And you have to get that balance right, and it takes a really long time to do that coat.
It did.
And you do layer after layer after layer.
Yeah.
And people think it's easy. It's not that easy to do.
And I went through it so many different times. One of the awesome things they taught down at the G Fest was the washing.
Washing.
And,
that's
John
one of the most important parts.
Washing, man. And of course, you know, being an artist, it was easy to come back and just implement that right into it. But I got the colors off of that last fight scene. When he's standing there waiting to grab Godzilla's tail, you can see all them different shades.
Yep.
And then when he was laying on the raft, right before they was going to blow the raft up, you could see his shoulders. He
was all dry.
Them different shades. So that's where I was going for. That last fight scene, you can literally see them different shades going through him. And then that face, I was really trying to get the color right with that face because I see it a lot of times. It's like tan.
There's pink in there. There's pink.
Yeah,
and pink in the cheeks.
Pink in the, he's got rosy ass pink cheeks in some of the scenes, and you really have to get it right. And you know the difference between the way I work and some other models work differently. Modelers work differently. I want mine to be as accurate to the movies as I can.
Yeah.
Some people do amazing kits, but they look like model kits.
Exactly.
They overdo it with the dry brushing.
Yes.
And it looks like a model kit. And the difference, well, Leslie's, for example, when I did that 62, I made sure that I didn't overdo it with the dry brushing because you want it to look like it stepped off the screen, not like it stepped off a modeler's shelf. And that's what I try to do. It's not for everybody. And some people prefer that overly dry brush look. And I've never sort of liked that for my personal kits. So
it's like any tool, don't overuse it.
Yeah.
What's that?
You know, and
like
you're right.
don't overuse it.
Yep.
I want it to look as screen actor. If I'm painting it, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. You know,
Me
I
too.
took that Skynet Gargantua, the gyro, and I did the same thing. I mean, I took stills, I took pictures, I took it through one TV down to the 4K TV to bring out all the different colors. So
talk about colors. There's so many colors in gyro. You have no idea.
My God.
I mean, he's got like
dude,
fluorescent crazy.
Holy crap, man! I painted that thing like I had to paint it at least 6 times. This one here, I painted him. I had to paint him at least 4 times because I kept trying to change the shades. I was trying to get it like, you know, perfect. But this kit, man, is, I mean, Leslie talked me into it down at G Fest, man. They had this, and the guy had.
You banged it out. You know what? You're doing a great job, man.
You know, Leslie was getting his kits, and I saw the kit. The guy was holding. He had a really good price, and I wasn't going to get it. So when I came back around to get the 75 in the gyro, I mean the Gigan, the torso and one of the legs was laying there, and I said, man, that's a dope torso. Like, what is that torso to? He said, man, it's the Kong I was trying to give you. I said, man, just go and give it to me right now. I don't even see nothing else. I ain't even see nothing else.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
And I tell you what, the way I have this on here, I'm not gonna pull it apart now, but I you know, Dave, you taught me how to, you know, fill in the seams, you know.
Yep.
So it was more so you guys helping me with, you know, putting the kits together. I can paint them. That's not a problem at all. And so the way I did this, Robert told me to put magnets in it. So if I want, I can literally take these right out of here, and you will never see where the seam came off.
That's smart.
I can pop these right out of here, and I can pop the other arms right.
That's why I love KOC kits so much, Marcellus, because they already done that for you.
Yeah. I love the long arms on here too. I really love that long arm poles on it too. So I was conflicted on which ones I wanted. So I made it with the magnets. Robert told me, he said, man, put magnets in there. I put magnets in both of them so I can switch these right out.
That's brilliant.
Put the other arms in there. Brilliant. Awesome kit, man. Awesome kit.
Nice.
You did a wonderful job. You did a wonderful job. And
thank
you so much. Thank you so much for showcasing that.
But
now we're here at the final segment. And again, 3 rounds. Rapid fire rounds, so we can get up out of here in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
But your top 3 favorite collectibles from King Kong versus Godzilla will go around the room. 1 round, 2 rounds, and the 3rd round. So Steve, you're up first. What is one of your top 3 favorite collectibles from this epic movie of King Kong versus Godzilla?
I'm going to give you all 3 right now and do a little different if you don't mind, because I got to bounce up out of here pretty quickly. So
okay.
No, I'm going to do 3 Kongs because I've shown you some of my favorite Godzillas, right?
Interesting. So, okay.
Yes. Number 1 will be the Billiken.
Yes.
Kong, which I still think is an amazing kit. I think that the forms are awesome. I think the detail is a product of its era, and that's why it falls at number 3. Number 2 is going to be the very rare X Plus.
Oh, yeah. Super rare.
That I think like 2 dozen of these were made. Yes, the X Plus made a 62 Kong. It was made as a kit only, and it's about 25 centimeters high. So scale wise, you can see that's about right.
Nice.
So he's an odd size, but I love this movie, and I had to have him. And y'all already know my number 1 is going to be the Roto Kaiju.
Throw him up
with the arms up. It really is.
Up.
There's a lot of, Beto did all the hard work, but there was a lot of hours that went into him, let me tell you. And
no, don't sell yourself short, man. I know how much work you put into that too.
Yeah,
so please don't sell yourself short, because you were talking to me along the way, and I know.
I was. And in fact, the one I just showed you, that's the one that's on the box.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Most excellent.
Me and my bad Photoshop skills there, but
thank you so much for being here.
And
thank you so much for being here. I know you're gonna bounce, so thank you so much for being here again. You're the biggest King Kong versus Godzilla fan, at least one of them that I know. The biggest King Goji fan I know. And even though we could debate on if it's the best Godzilla, but still top 3, top 5 is still 5.
It's up there. It's way up there.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
Steve.
you for having me. You all take care and be safe out there, huh?
Yes,
You
sir.
too.
Right.
Take care.
All right.
Take care,
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, Marcellus and David, it's just us 3. So let's go around the room.
All right, go around the room. All right, number one. or actually number 3, I should say. It's got to be this guy. It's got to be the X Plus gigantic 1962. And I know many of you know this story, maybe some don't. When we were in Japan with Kyle and a whole bunch of other people, we were in 2015, we were lucky enough to get invited to X Plus HQ. And we got to see this piece being sculpted, the final stages of the sculpt. The artist had all of the reference material behind it, and it was on the table and had all the sculpting tools, and it was the clay form of this guy. We got to see it in the process of being made. So how could anything not be special about that? And I will never forget it. And this is the product of it, and it looks exactly like it did when we saw it. So
yeah,
definitely has to be in my top 3. Could be number 1, could be number 3. I don't know. It's just up there, and it's an awesome figure, and I love it. I just love it. It's one of my favorite gigantics.
Yeah, I'm with Dave. My third one is this one right here, the X Plus.
Yep.
Compliments of Mr. Ben. He might be watching, but I love that one. I love that X Plus, that gigantic one.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Can't say anything else about it.
Now, for me, the gigantic would have made it, but again, this is top 3, not top 5. And even though I love the gigantic 62, I really do. I actually find the 30 centimeter X Plus 62, I find that one better than the gigantic. So actually, I'm going to pick this one as my 3rd favorite. But that's it for me for the 3rd favorite. All right, David, you up next. What's your 2nd one?
All
Go for it.
I'm gonna go a little bit, different, and I'm gonna do one Godzilla, one Kong, and one something else for my top 3 collectibles for King Kong versus Godzilla. I got to go with Pashimboya bobblehead, old figure by X Plus, long time ago. Kyle saw this on somewhere in Mandarake or something. He snagged it for me because he knew I really loved me and Sandra. We're so into the Pashimboya, Mr. Taco's mascot from Pacific Pharmaceuticals, and I just think I love these little special, obscure collectibles from these films. And if you blink, you kind of miss him because he's only in a couple of the scenes. Definitely more in the Japanese version because you get to see the widescreen version. But this is an X Plus. I don't even know where it came from or what it was made for. It's the only one of its kind. Bobblehead, Pashimboya, Pacific Pharmaceutical mascot. There you have it.
I miss
Marcellus.
This could be number 1, but it's the reason why it's not number 1. I'll get to that number 1, but not number 2, man. The Road 2, man. This thing is amazing. And I got it when, thank you so much, Leslie. You already know. Appreciate you. Steve got me this, man, from through Leslie, and man, this is like, to be honest, he's in like one of my top 15 figures. I mean, I got so much stuff down here, it's ridiculous. But number 2, yeah, I got some. I got rare pieces, man.
Hello, we're right up there with you, man. I mean, it's hard to pick.
Buying stuff to be buying stuff. I don't even know, but I love this thing, man. It was number 1, but there's, we already know what my number 1 gonna be. So I love this number 2.
Great choice.
Thing, man. Oh my God.
I know it. Yep. I know it.
I'm still trying to figure out how he did that with them eyes, man.
All right, Mr. C, what you got?
2. All right, number 2. I agree with Marcellus. I love this. This is my 2nd favorite. Now I do have the one that Marcellus just has. I actually have the drunk one too. But between the 3. I think I got this one 2nd.
You like the fighting pose better.
And I got this one. I like the fighting pose better, but I got this one 2nd. I got the one with the arms down first, right? But I've always wanted
that's
this
the first one. That's first.
Yeah, I know this is the first, but first let me collect, and I got the arms down.
Oh, got it.
First.
Got it.
Then I got this one 2nd, but this was the one. Yeah, this is the one I always wanted. So I compare. You compare the King Kong and Godzilla earlier. like this is perfect with the 30 centimeter Godzilla.
Perfect scale.
Like
Yeah, it is.
couldn't
Absolutely
get no
perfect.
more perfect than this.
Yeah,
Perfect
That's
scale.
I
Perfect
don't I've
scale.
not seen a better
And
scale
that's
than that.
why
That's great.
Absolutely, and that's why he deserves my spot in number 2. Now we're going to number 1. David, lay it on us, man.
Well, mine are not necessarily in any type of order. These are just my top 3 collectibles, right? But I have to agree with my 2 friends here. The Roto Kaiju Kong. This thing is amazing. It is the quintessential Toho Kong that I've ever seen, and I've seen pretty much all there is to get because I was always a fan of this Kong. I think it definitely beats the X Plus, the one that Steve has. The one that Steve has is very cool and it's very rare. But if you want to get accurate, I mean, look at that thing. I mean, that thing stepped out of the movie. And like Leslie said, there's another figure that scales perfectly with it. The favorite sculptor 62. They are perfect because it's 30 centimeters. It's absolutely perfect, and they're ready to battle. It looks like they're going at it right there. I mean, definitely. If you guys don't have this, please do yourself a favor and grab one. You can get the first version with the fighting pose. You can get this. This is the second version. I know there's a glow in the dark version, and there's also the one with the optional drunk head that you can put on it. And interestingly enough, all 3 of us chose to do the smaller, shorter arms. We didn't do the long ass arms.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We all chose this.
Right.
I think there's a place for the long arms, and eventually I'm going to buy the Billiken back again because there is no other option. It is just the long arms, and I'd like to have that represented in my collection. But this thing, if you see it in person, it looks just like it stepped out of the movie. And hats off to Beto and Steve and to everybody that was involved in producing this. So those are my top 3, whatever order. They all fluctuate in different order. So that's what I got, guys.
Hey, before Marcellus goes, I got to address a comment in the comment section.
Yes.
Alex Sawyer said the 62 is better than the Web Duck Feet 64.
Excuse me?
I mean that's what he said. He said the 62
Web
is better
Duck
than
Feet.
Web Duck Feet 64.
Interesting, Alex Sawyer.
I mean, but on Collectible Monsters, we don't really pay attention to people that shop at Walmart for the NECA figures, so we don't care about what you have to say.
The shade.
Oh,
You're not going to come up here and talk about a 64 and think I'm not going to say something.
not with us 2 here. Not with these 2 here.
Not with the 3 here.
No. Are you a 64?
Oh yeah.
No.
Well then that's just not a good idea.
All the way,
and not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Especially me because I mean I have F givens. I mean, I have 0 F's to give, and I just gave every one of them out. So you know how I feel about that right about now. I don't care.
All right, Alex Sawyer.
All right, but Marcellus, finish it off. Your favorite.
My number 1.
King Kong versus Godzilla. Go for it.
You already know. Number 1, right there.
King Kong.
Yeah, man. This and you see, I got the gigantic right there. It scales really good. You can see I got all the constant right there, but it scales really
it looks pretty good to me. Yeah,
it does, man. I am about to build a whole diorama. Of course, you can, I don't want to swing through there, but it's a diorama crazy. But
you show off. Yeah, gonna show off.
Let's just keep going on. Let's go all the way around the room.
There you go.
We got to get Steve Heron and Marcellus together. Then we have some really scary stuff.
Man,
right?
listen, and I'm not even hitting all the gigantics over here on the walls and stuff, but they scale so great, man. I mean, and I'm about to do a whole diorama setup with that because I fell in love with it. Not just because this amazing, ridiculous, insane, awesome guy painted it, but named Marcellus. But I just love the Skelly.
Yes.
I love the Skelly. I do. Big
It's
shout
great.
out to Dave. Big shout out to Mark. I mean, this is the first official kit that I had built and painted. And I mean, you guys really helped me with that. I got the paint stuff, but helping me put that thing together, the stuff to use. Dave, me and that Zip we best friends. We best friends putting that stuff together.
It's magic, isn't it?
Oh my
magic.
God, I use that thing on everything now, man. But I love this. I love that figure, that pose, that whole thing is just, it's amazing. It was amazing.
Great. It's pretty great.
And I love the scaling. I do. I love that scaling. So that's my number one.
Nice. Excellent.
Now, for me,
all right, Leslie.
it's a no-brainer. For me, it's a no-brainer. Where I gotta give an honorable mention to this Passion Boy that Sandra had, made. Got to give a huge shout out to her because she loves the Passion Boy for some reason. She saw that.
She does.
Well, she saw that. I think she saw that on Collectible Monsters. I think
She's got good taste.
Yeah, either you, David, or John showcased it on the show. She was like, "What is that?" I was like, "From King Kong versus Godzilla." And she saw the movie a few times before. She was like, "I don't recall seeing that in there," so I had to put on the movie and say, "You see it right there?" She's like, "Oh."
Okay, where was it at in the movie, Leslie?
Now in the American version, in the office scenes where you see Mr. Taco talking with his employees, or when Godzilla's attacking the military base and they got news footage of him, and the guy's like,
he's like, no more.
Right.
I'm sick of Godzilla.
And you look in the corner, like behind him on like one of the cabinets, you can see that, but you see him more in the Japanese version of King Kong versus Godzilla.
Because it's widescreen, you can see it. It's pan and scan in the American version, you can barely see it.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah, but Sandra fell in love with the Pasha Boy. She was like, I don't care what I got to do, who I got to talk to.
Me and John and Sandra, we're the ones that love Passion Boya.
Yeah. So I got to give honorable mention to her. But my favorite, there's no brainer, of course, the KOC 40cm King Goji.
It's amazing. That kid is amazing.
Sculpted by Akira Ibaraki, painted by the one and only David Dopko over there. And again, when I got this kit, when I secured me getting this kit, David was the only person I knew that could probably bring it out my vision of what I want the kit to look like, because he resonates more with King Kong versus Godzilla and Marvel versus Godzilla. This is the golden era of the Showa period.
That's right.
And I think you need an artist like that loves those films, that resonates with those films, that can really bring it out more because he's very passionate about those films. You know what I'm saying? So David was the only person, but the only hiccup was I'm like on one side of the country, he's on the other side, and he has reservations about sending the
resin kits.
Resin model
I don't do it.
But the saving grace, like David talked about earlier, like these kits in particular, the 40cm resin kits, they come in pieces where you take off the head, you can take off the arms,
amazing.
You can take, and you just put them all together again.
You got to build one, Marcellus. You got to build one of those.
Man, I want one so bad. Oh my God!
So after I convinced David to do it, he was like, just as long as I can sit it in pieces and you can put it together yourself. I'm like, as long as you do it, because I didn't want anybody else to do it, and he did this thing the ultimate justice. By this being in my collection, it shot past the 30cm 62. It shot past the gigantic. It's my most favorite King Goji in my collection. And
I'm so stoked you like it. I'm so stoked you like it.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the next one that's coming out.
I'll do it. I told you.
55. And I got David lined up to build that one for me. That will be the next 40cm kit coming up real soon. Ibaraki teased it last week. He's done the finishing touches of it.
It's coming soon.
Hopefully be up for pre-order real soon.
Yeah.
But for me in my collection, my most favorite collectible from King Kong versus Godzilla is this guy right here, courtesy of KOC and courtesy of the one and only David F. Dopko. And that's going to pretty much do it for this show of our talk and discussion and celebration for King Kong versus Godzilla, the collectibles pertaining to the film, whether both Kong and Godzilla or Passion Boy. Again, this film is celebrating 60 years in just a few days.
I'm showing them all right now. Go ahead, keep talking.
Put them all up
It is celebrating 60 years. Again, such a major milestone. You know what I'm saying? Guy again celebrated 50 years earlier this year. Now we get the King Kong versus Godzilla. And again, this film was a lot of our childhood. This was the film we grew up watching. Yeah. We grew up on a Saturday afternoon with our blanket after we watched cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons. Around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, we are curled up with the blanket watching King Kong and Godzilla beat the holy crap out of each other on the slopes of Mount Fuji. Call it cheesy, call it whimsical, call it campy, call it just too childish. But one thing you can't call it not fun, because that is exactly what this film is. And
Amen.
to this day,
well said.
to this day is one of the best Godzilla films and one of the most important Godzilla films. And again, without this film, we wouldn't have the new film or the newer film. So a lot is owed to this film. A lot is owed to King Kong. A lot is owed to Eiji Tsuburaya, Inoshiro Honda, Akira Ifukube, the actors, everybody involved in the making of this movie. We owe a lot to this film. So why not tonight? Why don't you pop in King Kong versus Godzilla, whether it's the American version or the Japanese version? You will have yourself a great time. Want to give a huge shout out and thank you to both Marcellus Winters, David Eric Dopko, Beto, and Steve Ceragioli, Beto Matali from Roto Kaiju, from coming up here and help me celebrate properly the awesome King Goji in all his glory. Now, before we go, do you have any parting words before we get up out of here? David, you go first, then Marcellus. David, what do you got to say?
Just you summed it up. You said it better than I could. It's nostalgic. It's fun. It reminds me of my childhood. It is a great movie, no matter where it falls in your list. It's just a lot of fun, and I just really want to thank you for allowing me to be part of this, because you know how much I love it. And watch our show next week. We got a Collect All Monsters show that should be pretty fun. That's all I got. Marcel.
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me on here, man. I think you can't go wrong. Two of our favorite monsters of all times, King Kong, Godzilla. It was the start of everything. It's the start of what you got right now with the Monsterverse, which I still think is an amazing movie. I love it. You know, I got it favored on every one of my TVs. Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me here. Look forward to coming back. There's one plug I want to put in for a show. We gotta do that War of the Gargantuan.
Oh, Gargantuans, yeah.
I need to be on that.
Frankenstein conquers the world. We gotta do it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well,
appreciate you, Dave. Appreciate you, Leslie.
Yes.
You heard it here.
Yes.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. Again, when we get back together, myself, Marcellus, and David, we will talk about the Green Brother and the Brown Brother with anger management issues, Santa versus Guyver, War of the Gargantuans. But before we get to that point, we'll get together and decide when we're going to do that show here on Collect All Monsters. That's a side project. We'll let you know. But outside of our show, our next episode, it is next weekend, around this time, next weekend. And of course, there is so much to talk about. San Diego Comic-Con, there was Wonderfest. You know, there was so much stuff.
So much. My head's spinning. My head is spinning.
So much stuff, you know, as far as like figures, you know, the Death of Real Legion came up for pre-order. You know what I'm saying? The Mondo King Ghidorah 91, the Space Godzilla from Mondo, the Gigantic Kong from X Plus from the Monsterverse. You know what I'm saying? There is so much news to dive into.
Harry Heisler figures.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Now, mind you, myself and the rest of the crew on Collect All Monsters won't be able to get to every single thing. We kind of cherry pick like the heavy hitters as far as like news, but we definitely will hit you off with a news heavy episode come next week, and we can't wait to see you there. And then in September, outside of our monthly show there, myself, Marcellus, and Eric Stope, and hopefully Everett Grundon, Godzilla Fan Freaks, will get together and kind of like similar how we talked about King Kong versus Godzilla. We're going to get together for a side project and talk about Collectibles and the movie of 1975's Terror of Mechagodzilla.
I'll be watching. Yeah. I'll be watching that. And Leslie, before I forget, we're going to do a model episode. People have been asking us to do an all modeling episode. Marcellus will be on with us. I'm asking you now. I didn't ask you before, but I'm asking you on live. So you're going to be on with us.
Yes,
tell
sir.
me right now.
Yes, sir.
Steve Ceragioli, Steve Herron,
Burley.
Oh, wow.
Burley Vang, Vince Elliott. Yeah. Instead of just us getting on there talking about kits, we're going to have Leslie Chambers over here, the Steve Harvey, and he's going to ask us questions and ask us about our modeling. Our modeling journeys, and I think that's going to be a lot more fun than us just talking about stuff.
That'd be great.
We don't know when that's coming. Probably maybe October, November. Who knows?
That'd be great.
But stay tuned. It is going to happen. It's going to happen.
I got them 67s coming this week.
Oh, nice.
I got them 67 Kongs coming this week.
Oh, nice. All right.
It is. I think it froze up, Dave.
Coming before the year is out. Because
before the year's out. Before the year's out. That's safe. That's safe enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like we're freezing up, so I think that's kind of like our cue to
That
get
means-
us out of here. So
That's
again,
right.
thank you so much for being here. We really do appreciate it. And as Kyle normally does at the end of our episodes, I did it like 14 times over the course of G-Fest weekend. I'm having
Go for
fun
it.
doing that. Of course, I can't do it like he does, but second best is not going to hurt. So again, thank you to David, thank you to Steve, thank you to Marcellus, thank you to Beto for being here, and thank you for everybody here in the chat that stuck with us as we celebrate the collectibles and the movie of King Kong vs. Godzilla. And we will see y'all again on the next episode of Collectible Monsters going down next Saturday at this time. So until then, our planet may be doomed, our Earth devastated, the monsters are in revolt, and civilization is in chaos. We must unite and collect
Collect
all